Hi, this is Gio from footballbook.pro. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about suicide pools, who to pick and who not to pick. And we're going to talk about the criteria and the rules you should follow when making a pick in a suicide pool. Now, when as many of the rules and criteria as possible match, then that's the team or teams that you should pick. So, without any further ado, here are the rules and criteria. Rule number 1. Always pick a home team. Now, not every home team wins, but statistics will show you that the home team wins more often than the visiting team. Rule number 2. Pick a good home team. Don't pick a team with a lousy record just because they're at home. Hello Detroit, St. Louis, Kansas City. Try picking a team that's on their way to the postseason this year. And I stress this year because most people don't know this little fact that about half the teams that make this postseason one year don't get there the second year. It's a fact. Look it up. Rule number 3. Pick a good home team with a good home record. Last year, both the New England Patriots and the Minnesota Vikings were 8-0 at home. But see rule number 8 for Minnesota. Arizona was a good team as well and made the playoffs, but we're only 4-4 at home. So you have to realize who's a good team at home. Rule number 4. Pick against bad teams. I've mentioned Detroit, St. Louis, Kansas City as bad teams. Well, they were a combined 4-20 on the road last year. Bad teams lose a lot of games, but they especially lose games on the road. This is especially important in some suicide pools that don't allow you to take the same team twice. Last year you would have been able to ride Indianapolis and New Orleans most of the year. The Patriots were 16-0 a couple of years ago in the regular season. So even though the rules may limit you to the number of times you can pick the same team, they almost never limit you to the amount of times you can bet against a particular team. But there's a special exception for this, which brings us to rule number 5. Rule number 5. Don't pick a game involving divisional opponents, even if it's a bad team on the road against a good team at home. In a 16-game schedule, where each team plays the other team in their division twice, that accounts for 1/8 or 12.5% of the entire schedule. You get to know teams that you play often over the years, and divisional games are twice as important in the standings. Plus, there are a lot of grudges and revenge factors in as well. Last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost at home to the divisional rival New Orleans Saints, who would go on to win the Super Bowl, but beat them in New Orleans. This happens all the time. Rule number 6. Exploit trends. For example, since 2003, the New England Patriots are 22-3 after a loss, 24-3 in the month of December. They had won 16 straight games against the NFC before losing to the eventual champions, the Saints, in New Orleans. For your information, they've started a new streak. So keep that in mind. The hapless Detroit Lions, meanwhile, have lost 20 straight games on the road. Rule number 7. Enter a suicide pool more than once. After you've used all the criteria, you might find that you have multiple options in a given week, but there's always going to be an upset. And if you enter 3 or 4 times, you can afford to lose one of your spots. And chances are that a lot of the other people in the pool will have taken that team as well and will have been eliminated. If the pool you've entered is too expensive to enter 3 or 4 times, then go in with a couple of friends and you can split the winnings. It's better to have a third or a quarter of the prize money than nothing. And finally, rule number 8. Never, ever, ever involve the Minnesota Vikings in a suicide pick. I'm not kidding. Whether you're picking for them or against them, don't do it. You will be wrong. It's that simple. The Vikings have a long history of doing the wrong thing, of breaking your heart and taking money out of your pocket. There will be a situation where something happens 19 times out of 20 And the one time it didn't happen, it involved the guys in purple. As a matter of fact, try avoid betting Minnesota in any type of wager, whether it's baseball, horse racing, making a putt, or even at a slot machine at your local Indian Reserve casino. Just don't do it. We know that sometimes you have to involve Minnesota, like in an office pool, but when you do, either flip a coin or ask your mother-in-law, because when you're wrong, and you will be, you can blame something or somebody else. Even my bird doesn't bet on Minnesota. Oh, by the way, honorable mention to the Oakland Raiders. They're almost as bad as Minnesota. So there you go. Now you know who to pick and who not to pick in a suicide pool. For footballbook.pro, I'm Gio. We'll see you next time. That's what I think about betting on Minnesota too.